was a grandson of, he was the grandson of Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi. Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi's grandson was the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek was a great genius. In fact, the Tzemach Tzedek, and I want to tell you this story because he writes it openly. The Tzemach Tzedek, listen to this, when he went to Vilna, now remember, Vilna is this Lithuanian town against the open study of Kabbalistic texts and all that. When the Tzemach Tzedek went to Vilna, he received a hero's welcome, and the Tzemach Tzedek took upon himself that he was not going to teach any Kabbalistic teaching the whole time he was in Vilna out of respect for the local population. That's a very interesting point. That was the Tzemach Tzedek. But he became very close to the Tzemach Tzedek, the Aruch HaShulchan. Whenever he had a break, whenever he had a vacation, he would go and spend time with the Tzemach Tzedek. So the Tzemach Tzedek told him the following story. You have to hear this story. I love this story. The story was, and this is something that I think gives a good perspective. The story was that the Tzemach Tzedek told him that his grandfather was the Alter Rebbe. He one day, when he was a kid, he said to his grandfather, "You, Zaidi, should thank the Vilna Gaon for opposing you. Because if the Vilna Gaon wouldn't have opposed you, the Hasidim would have gone too much to the wrong way. And now, because of the Vilna Gaon's opposition, we're the right way. The pendulum it could have gone too left, so to speak." And it says, he writes there in the book, he says, the Alter Rebbe, Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi, he nodded, he says, "You're right. The Vilna Gaon saved Hasidus." Now, this is an interesting, he records this, and then his father told him from the book. But what's the point that I'm saying? The point that I want to bring across from this is that it's not for me and you or anyone else to understand the dispute and why some of these people did things that for reasons that are beyond our comprehension. We don't know why. But it could be that they saved it. And certainly today, although there is some philosophical friction, but on a personal level, there is very little friction. I just want to show you, and I'll end up with this picture because I'm the kind of personality that I'm a peace man. I don't like conflict. I'm a peace man. So I wanted to show you a picture we have here. This is a picture of Rav Aryeh Leibstein, and he's considered today the head of the Lithuanian community in Israel, Torah community. And we have here the Gera Rebbe. So they work together today. Okay? So today, there was conflict over the generations, but today we have Shalom in Israel. Today we have the Hasidim and the Mitnagdim. They're working together, they're trying to build Torah together and build community together. And the fact of the matter is that who knows if it was a result of what the Vilna Gaon's opposition that kept it together, whatever it was, but there's no doubt that the Hasidic world has given a strength and contribution to the Jewish people. That's tremendous. That's tremendous. There's no doubt. I don't know the percentages, but much of the observant Torah world today are Hasidic. Don't know the percentages again, but much of them, perhaps even most of them, are Hasidic. So there's no question that they kept things strong, and that as a movement, certainly the test of time, they have stood the test of time. Nonetheless, again, there was this debate between these tremendously great authorities. I'm just showing you here right at the end, the Vilna Gaon was buried in Vilna. This is the Ohel, this is the tent where he's buried in, and this is the inner place. I'm just, maybe some of you have been there. But this is inside the actual burial place, and there's certain inscriptions over there. This is actually in Vilna, the Vilna Gaon's resting place. So in short, we should merit. We should merit to have great people that lift up the honor and dignity of the Jewish people. And we need great people, great holy people to guide us to always go in the right direction in a way that sanctifies God's name. And I thank you all for listening.
Amen.
Very good.
Rabbi, do you understand the Tanya?
I've learned Tanya, some.
I learned Tanya too, but sometimes I don't understand.
And
What is Tanya?
okay, Tanya. Tanya basically, Tanya means a teaching. What Tanya is, the Alter Rebbe, he wrote the best way of explaining it is he brought down Kabbalistic concepts in a kind of a philosophical framework to help people learn concepts and to grow spiritually. That's really what the Tanya is about. I've learned certain parts of Tanya, and certain parts I understand better, and certain parts I don't understand. And it's deep. It's a very, very, very deep book. It deals with concepts of Kabbalah, like you have to, in order to really understand Tanya, and this is the important thing. I'm not sure who really understands it anymore. But to really understand it, you have to understand the writings of the Arizal, for example. The writings of the Arizal, he explains the Kabbalistic system. I just want to explain something while we're on that point. Kabbalah is a science. It's not, this is not Kabbalah. People that think Kabbalah is this, crazy thing. That's not, if you think that's what it is, then that's not, then you're wrong. It's not what it is. Kabbalah is a science. It's a science. It's the deepest spiritual science of the Torah. It's a system. It's a system that goes through, the Arizal goes through how God possibly could create the world if he's everything. And then he goes through that he made space for the world and projected his life through the world, and he governs the world through 10 attributes that are called Sphirot, and then those attributes were too strong, and then there was a breaking of those attributes, it's called Sphirot, and how it all happens and how it all... But you cannot begin to understand you cannot really understand these books unless you have someone explain it to you that has a deep Kabbalistic understanding. And that's the problem. Today people pick up these things, right, and they kind of deceive themselves into thinking that they actually know what they're talking about. But you can't really know what it's talking about until you have a real background, until you really have a background in the writings of the Arizal. Or unless you have a Rebbe that's teaching you that actually knows what the thing means and how you could relate to it. Otherwise it's just like pie in the sky.
My daughter understands Tanya. Tremendous. She called me up, I couldn't understand you, didn't understand it. She studied Kabbalah all
She
the
must
time.
have a good teacher.
She's a Baal Shuvah.
Okay, she must have a good teacher, Kenza. Yeah. But it's a very beautiful book, and it's a very inspiring book.
I know, I studied it.
It's very, you learn it right. If you learn it right, it's very good.
Is it like English 101, or do you have to have background for it?
You could read it in English. Look, personally, if this is just my view, and Chabad Hasidut would argue with me. But personally, I say to a person, unless you've got a good background, first of all in the revealed Torah, and unless you have a little bit of understanding of Kabbalah, basically you're wasting your time, in my opinion. But if you have a little bit of a background, if you have a Rebbe to teach you, then it's something. Again, you have to have a little bit of background, otherwise it's just, unfortunately,
they're giving classes and people don't understand it.
No.
I don't think the person teaching understands.
Oftentimes.
I remember when I was growing up, the tradition was you shouldn't even study Kabbalah until you reached a...
The Shach says, there's a Shach in Shulchan Aruch that says that you shouldn't study Kabbalah till you're 40.
Yeah.
Although, there are many opinions that differ in that and that allow a person, even before they're 40, to study. And it depends, and there's different segments of Kabbalah. You see, what Hasidut did also is it took down the raw Kabbalah in a sense and brought it into a form that people could relate to and understand. So the Hasidim do study it, but they study it in a different framework almost. I won't say watered down, but a kind of watered down framework from the original text, if you will. And they brought it down like that so that people could have some kind of a grasp of it. So that's really more or less, yeah.
So it's very interesting that when the Tzemach Tzedek went to Vilna to visit the Vilna Gaon.
Well, it wasn't to visit the Gaon. The Gaon wasn't alive.
Oh, okay. So he came to
But
Vilna.
he went to the town of Vilna,
and he
which
was given a hero's welcome, despite the animosity that the people of Vilna. I mean, they must have known.
And I want to tell you something
Who
else
the
that he
Tzemach
writes
Tzedek
there.
was.
Of all the Hasidim, Chabad Hasidim in Europe were the most respectable Hasidim because they were the most learned in general. That's what he writes there as well. It's very interesting. In
Who
Europe, Chabad. In Europe, the Chabad Hasidim were big Talmidei Chachamim. They were big. In those days. They were the most respected Hasidim in all of Europe.
When is the next session?
The next session of the God of the next session. We're going to have a session next week, next Tuesday night.
Based on what?
But next Tuesday night, I haven't decided 100%
How about a
yet.
study of the Kabbalah?
Study of the Kabbalah. But we have to come with midnight with incense and stuff.
But, Rabbi, the complete
Yes.
Kabbalah abridged.